I'm Dr. Paul Van Valen, and I want to do a little shout out to all the parents who have become homeschoolers, which is anybody probably within the United States right now. It's challenging unless you're already a homeschooler. So, for those of you that have already been homeschooling, you have now been joined by just about every parent in America. And for those of you that haven't chosen this path, I want to just express that I appreciate the challenges of dealing with having everybody home when you expect them to be gone, of having to get them used to you being the authority to get them to work. And that's a big transition. And many parents I've been talking to have been expressing that it's really hard, that it creates more conflict in the home for some. It creates and then parents who tend to be really anxious and afraid of doing it not well enough, maybe putting a little bit too much effort into it. I talked with one parent recently who said, after several weeks, I've been able to figure out that we really only need a couple of hours, and it doesn't matter when we do it in the day. And so there's a more relaxed attitude in someone that was really just wanting to do it right and really concerned. I want to remind all of you parents out there that there are no perfect parents. And especially now, there's no way to set the standard. What is a perfect parent in an environment we've never seen before? So I just wanted to just give a short shout out to you all, praying for you, really concerned about the stress that this creates for you. But if you can create an attitude of, I'm going to do the best I can, and we're going to just kind of go with the flow and try to create a day with the kids that is a mix of play, some school activity. In Virginia, it's to the end of the year, so this is not a short-term plan. We're really looking at a couple months more of being a homeschool parent, unless something drastically changes. But we have to plan on what I'm talking about. That we're going to be home, we're going to be, teaching our kids, we're going to be with them all day long, and I just wanted to let you know that I feel for you, and that you're free to. I actually want to welcome on this post any suggestions about what's working for you. And so if you are a parent who has your kid at home and you feel like, we've discovered some things that are really helpful, I would like you to share that and use this post in particular to make your comments, let a dialogue begin. I am beyond that. My grandkids are not in school yet, and so when we're doing our FaceTime experience with the family, they're all home and they're supposed to be because they're just little guys. But many of my clientele, particularly when we're doing psychological assessments of school-age children, and I ask how you doing, you get kind of a smile and a kind of a, it's challenging. Those that have been doing it for a while, I know it varies in the country, but if you've been at this for a while, it may feel somewhat more normal with time, but it's an abnormal circumstance. And so I really, all the schools are going to have to just relax their standards. And all the parents and the students, you want them to do something. We want them to continue to grow and learn. But there's a lot of value to what you just learn in this context. You can learn about love and gratitude. You can learn about finding simple ways to find fun and the value of being close together. So there are lots of lessons that can be learned that aren't just the ABCs and all that sort of thing. So try to relax. Everybody's going to make it. This is a true story about homeschooling. I have a person that I know really well, and his parents were really unusual. They were brilliant. One was a university professor, and but they lived in this real country area, and they were like hippies transplanted from the 60s to the 80s and 90s. And so when we visited their home and talked about the homeschooling regimen, the mother was really laissez-faire, and she said, well, if they want to learn something, I figure they'll ask. And we were like, wow, what is this? And then the father, we learned, was kind of doing his professorial thing, when it was popular. And when we watched these kids engaging the world, they were like wild. They had motorbikes and all, and they just, it was a very different culture and life than us living in the suburbs, going to our schools and so on, sending our kids to school. But this is a hopeful story. That young man went to an Ivy League university and became an attorney after, a whole just wild, unconventional life. My point being, the values that you carry forward, and there was a high value for education in the family. They just lived this really, really different kind of thing. Your kids are going to turn out fine. is what I want you just to believe, that they're going to get what they need, you're going to give them what they need, and even if this goes on a while and the whole educational system is just amok and you're just reading stuff online with them and you're just taking them through stuff, they're going to develop as human beings, which in the end is the big thing. Research argues that if your child is developing social intelligence, they're going to make it. A lot of kids who are brilliant kind of have a tough time with it because they're not balanced. I was an intelligent introvert, and God has shaped my life so there's much more social balance than there would have been had I just gone off in my own direction, I think. So be of good courage, take heart, and encourage each other. Those of you that have friends, contact each other and take turns whining. This is a very important bit of social support. I know I call my friends sometime and say, I need to whine. Can you give me a few minutes of your time? And then they're really good. They just listen with empathy. They don't try to fix me because I'm not broke. And we're connected. Social support is the biggest help in these times. And so that's in part why I'm doing this. As you hear me speak, I'm hoping that something that I have to say resonates and you can feel a little connection with what I'm talking about. But more importantly, you're motivated to connect with those around you and share what you know and just be real with each other. And we're going to get through this just fine. Your kids are going to grow up. And the main prayer to pray is, God, help my child to become the person that you want my child to be. And we don't get to control a lot of the circumstances, so you don't get to go necessarily your plan for their life. Nobody would have planned on this. But we have great faith, and I have great faith in just human growth, the way God has designed people. It's amazing. I tell parents, and I work with kids that are kind of challenging sometimes, and I tell parents, keep them alive until they're 25. That's the goal. And some other time I'll tell you more stories about kids that were kept alive until they were 25 in spite of themselves and turned out really well. So there are lots of good endings. This is going to be a relatively short period of time in your lifespan, I believe. I believe that, even if this is a number of months, in the course of a lifespan, this is not going to shape all of us. It's going to affect all of us. And what I'm praying for is that it opens us up to the three things I pray for are gratitude, humility, and a much greater sense of how to encourage each other. So encourage each other. If you have just cool ideas about how you've been integrating homeschooling into your world, share it with us. Talk to you soon.